welcome to the Akashic Almanac Guidance from Within podcast. I am your host and friend, Brittany Woods, bridging the seen and unseen worlds of our reality. Today we have a very special guest, my friend Geith. She has an array of talents, but in today's episode we delve into her work as a shaman, energy healer, artist, and her newest adventure in the ministry field. We also discuss the state of the world and how we can all as a collective best cope and move forward together. I hope you enjoy, and if you want to hear more from this podcast, please subscribe. Hi everyone! Today I have with me a very lovely friend. Her name is Geith, and I think we met when 10 years ago when I was 14. Isn't
I
it?
think so. Yes, you were in an esoteric healing class.
Yeah, I think it was maybe the second one that I did.
Yeah, it
I'm
was.
not
I think it was your second one. Coral Thorson was teaching it, your grandma, and although she probably doesn't go by that because she's nothing like a grandma, right? But at
right.
that time, and I think you still might be the youngest person to ever start taking classes. It was so wonderful to have you in the class, and we were partnered up, so we got to practice on each other. It was really a lot of fun, and I learned a lot about your big heart and your high vibration. You're a very powerful healer.
Wow, thank you. I didn't know much about shamanism or animal totems, but you gave me my two animal totems and they were an owl and a little bunny.
I remember the bunny. I remember
Yeah.
the bunny. That was when we were in Florida taking classes together.
Yeah, that was awesome. Wow. I can't believe that was 10 years ago. It's pretty amazing.
Time goes really fast, and now I'm training to be a teacher in esoteric healing. I just finished level 1. I know those 8 levels, right? So I just finished level 1, and right now I'm in the middle of level 2.
That's so fun. Wow. So we're back to from where we met and you're now teaching.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Wow. Um if you could just give a brief history of just like your journey of discovering energy healing and shamanism and just I don't know, you're so unique in the arts that you do. Like you're very creative. Just give a little summary of like your life's work, like whatever you want to share.
Wow. Okay, my life's work. Um, well, in terms of my spiritual path, well, first of all, I've always been an artist. I majored in art in school, doing painting and textile design and everything. And then I decided that I wouldn't go and be an artist for like my full-time job. So I've had a career in higher education for 30 years, but I've always done drawing and painting and that kind of thing. And then somewhere around 15 years ago, a dozen years ago, between 10 and 15 years ago, um, three life things happened all at about the same time. So I had melanoma, and my dad died, and I got divorced. And those three things were pretty close together. And that propelled me into paying attention to my health and organic food and really getting my body in shape and paying attention to what I'm eating and drinking and what I'm surrounding myself with. So that was like step one, right? Paying attention to the physical body temple. And around that same time, I got introduced to esoteric healing because I lived in Okemos, Michigan, where Dr. Barbara Briner had started the Center for Bioenergy Studies. And little did I know that several people that I knew had been taking classes with her for years. And I was like, what's esoteric healing? I had no idea. So I went to an information session and I started taking the first class, and I just got hooked on it. And that was my first modality that I learned. And I also, also in Okemos is a really fantastic school for transformative hypnotherapy. So I took that certification program, and I just started learning different modes. And one day I remember my mom saying, I really would like, she's a math and music teacher. And she goes, I'd really like to be part of a drumming circle. Can you find one? And I was like,
Oh,
I'm sure there's one around here somewhere. So it turned out that the one that I found was offered by Kate and Steph. So Kate Durda and Stephanie Teague, who are have an organization called spiritweavers.net, if you look them up, and they teach core shamanism. And in order to be in their drumming circle, you had to take the introduction to journeying class, an all-day class. So I was like, well, okay, I'll learn that. And so I learned that, and I got hooked on that even more because it was such a nice complement to esoteric healing, which is, a system of beliefs. It's got very mental focused, very heart centered, but it's all about your attention, right? Energy follows thought, and there's a lot of detail to the physical body and the organs and the systems and the energy centers. And shamanism is kind of very just a nice complement. It's about everything's alive, right? Living things you would think are living, like the kingdoms, right? Plants, animals, rocks, you know,
Mhm.
humans, the elements, but it goes beyond that. Places have a spirit, right? Things you make have a spirit. So it's everything that is surrounding us. Air, everything has energy, which I knew from esoteric healing, but it has a spirit that you can have a relationship with for the purposes of healing and getting information, whether you're healing yourself or other people, communities, animals, places, plants, homes. I mean, anything, helping waters get purified. I mean, there's so many different directions you can go in with shamanism, but I loved it because it was, there's a track that Sandra Ingerman really delved into and wrote some books about. One of her books is called, um, what's it called? Medicine for the Earth. So my second shaman class after learning how to journey, which is where you know, learn to create a protocol for yourself, basically, or a habit. And core shamanism, you use a drum or a rattle, and you learn how to go on purpose to get information from the upper world, the middle world, or the lower world, and you create relationships. But anyway, I love doing it outside because my second class was all about medicine for the earth and
Mhm.
journeying to the place and talking to the plants and talking to the hawks overhead and having
Mhm.
a relationship. And that just was, I was hooked because I grew up in the woods and at the beach and being outside, and that it's just part of my life, very important. That's what I paint, the energies of living beings. I'm a tree hugger, right?
Mhm.
So the shamanism just opened up a whole deeper way to engage with the outdoors and with all living beings and with all our relations. So that those two things together, and I combine them when I do healing work, esoteric healing and shamanism.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, it seems like there are so many similarities between, um, esoteric healing and your shaman work.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot. When I do treatments for people, I kind of I don't blend them in like doing them at the same time, but I'll usually use esoteric healing for diagnosis and for re-energizing people and bring them into balance. And then I'll journey and use shamanism for getting more information and more insight. Is there something deeper going on here or something different that I can get a different angle on or a different perspective? So, for example, I've worked with a couple people that have had Lyme disease, and
Mhm.
that's tricky, like you can work on that on a lot of different levels, and it needs that. In my experience, you need to go in with all your tools and really go deep with what's happening, and it's more than just the tick bite and the illness that spreads, the Lyme disease. There's other things going on. So to really make a difference with people, I found that insight into what I get from insight and from my spirit helpers provides information for people for um, how to clear things in their emotional field and their mental field that I could help them with and facilitate energetically, but actually having an understanding and working on releasing issues or doing ancestral healing or interpreting dreams, it really helps to have a whole nother perspective. So it works in tandem in terms of helping people understand what's going on and help them recover and feel better and strengthen their immune system and feel good in the short and the long term. So I think it kind of rounds out the esoteric healing. You can do, I know people that are just single mode. That's totally, I mean, I'm not saying that doesn't work at all. I'm just saying for me, I like balancing those two perspectives.
Yeah, I absolutely agree because what I'm also finding in the other areas of my life, even with yoga and meditation and the like reading Akashic records now, there's a thread. Like it's like you basically you can learn all of these different modalities to do the same thing, which is like deep soul healing. And they all get you to where you need to go just in different ways.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's such a diversity of people and circumstances. Of course, there's not going to be one way. There's always going to be multiple ways, and different things are going to feel right at different times. So there's no judgment about good or bad. It's just what it is that facilitates people's healing at the moment, that and what gets their attention and what lets them feel safe and trusted, and what catalyzes their experience of healing, because they're the ones doing the healing, right? We're
Right.
just facilitators and creating possibilities, and having the privilege of working with people and having them share what's going on and giving them insight and holding up a mirror sometimes to what's going on and being able to help people feel comfortable. I think that's one of the things that if people can just get enough relief so that they can
Mhm.
get out of fear and pain and feel and take time to calm down and meditate and think deeply and reflect, that's the kickstarting of the healing process.
Yeah, and I exactly what you just said, and I have resonated with that, just calming down, going within, meditating, going at a slower pace.
Hmm.
I feel like the world on a higher, consciousness level is literally the whole world is being asked to slow down right now
I
because we
know,
haven't.
isn't it beautiful? Oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, I see a lot of creativity happening with me, but also with people I know and people doing free yoga classes, like, you have your drumming circle online, and we're all just becoming more and more connected to each other in a way that we have ignored in the past. Like, it's forcing us to go within, but at the same time, love thy neighbor and reach out and ask if, people who you may not know are okay. Like there's a duality here, you know?
Exactly. And my experience has been similar. I mean, I've seen more of my neighbors in the last week than I have in like the last 6 months. It's been really good in a relaxed way. Like we can keep our distance and go walk together, but because there aren't as many options of things to do except to go outside, it's just beautiful. It really, I mean, I'm still working full time. My day job is a CEO of a small foundation, so and we're already virtual. So my day-to-day day job life hasn't changed that much. In fact, it's gotten busier because there's so many other people that are coming online.
Mhm.
So I just feel like there's such a movement to people wanting to connect in new ways, and at the same time being forced to leave behind a lot of the busyness and a lot of the distractions. And I've heard from more people too, maybe you have too, Brittany, that they're leaving their technology behind more, right? So they go for a walk in the woods, they leave their phone.
Yeah, it's
Or-
important.
Yeah, or I have a friend who's going to take Friday off and it's going to be her technology Sabbath. Yeah, I'm thinking to think about doing that because I'm attached all the time. But even being connected with social media, there's still a slowdown. There's fewer cars on the road. I went to a farmer's
Mhm.
market today and it was it wasn't definitely not as busy as usual. So but it's just nicer. It's less feel things feel less rushed, feel things feel calmer. At the same time, there's people suffering, right, with illness, with being separated, with being cut off, losing jobs, losing having to close their businesses. I have a friend who's had to close her business and is applying for disaster relief loans. So, I mean, there's major challenges and sacrifices basically going on, and people that are on the front lines like you, right, with the public, maybe being at risk or
Mhm.
people that are in hospitals that are helping people get better and healing and the lack of supplies. I mean, this is all real stuff. It's not just the news.
Right, right. I think it's, and I had did, just a reading on just the world and the state of the world right now, and one thing that came very strongly through is exactly what you're talking about. One is stop letting yourself be distracted by the outward world to start going within more, because everyone is ready for a deeper healing right now, and we're
Yeah,
seeing a wave of it come because we're ready for a deeper healing. So we need to start going within and stop being distracted. It's it's pretty amazing. Yeah, and then I think a lot of people are gonna be doing a lot of deeper soul work as far as priorities, right? Like, wait, what is important to me? When you
hmm
take away the distractions, you start asking yourself, what are my essentials? Like, what do I really need to be fulfilled and happy? And what is important to me? If all of these distractions were to go away, which they are, we kind of look at priorities differently.
exactly. I mean, that's the invitation of this time, I
Mhm.
think. Like you just said, we well said, go within, contemplate and reflect, really, take this opportunity to just listen, right? And to just be. We don't have to be or human beings, not human doings. I'm sure
Mhm.
you've heard that before. And this is our opportunity to do that because other people are around the entire globe are having to do the same thing. So we don't have to turn off and isolate ourselves while everybody else is going about their busyness. Everybody's going through the same thing. In
Mhm.
um, the virtual circle that I did last night, we had about 23 people, and everybody was sharing through their stories and readings and poems. A couple people sang and showing pictures. It was absolutely beautiful. And from that and from other things I've done this week on Zoom, like meditation circles, for example, people people are hungry for connection, but in a new way. That's what
Yeah.
I'm noticing. It's connection in a new way, like a doesn't have to be spiritual, but a just a deeper, a more intimate. Maybe isn't quite the word, but a closer connection, a more meaningful connection. I guess is how I describe it.
Yeah, I picture it like this. Like for me, the separation that is being um forced on the world, like the separation to stay home and social distance, what it's doing is it's making us notice how much we actually do need like support from other people and how much we do care about like just the our relationships, right? Like people around us. It's actually helping us acknowledge like, "Oh, wow, I actually do care about the person down the street, whether or not I know them." Like it's just making us realize how much we are all connected, how much we actually individually do care about other people. Right.
Yes, right. Like
Mhm.
not that we didn't before, but now we're more aware of it and we can be
Right.
more conscious of it.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. Another part of my spiritual path has been just recently since I moved to Chapel Hill 2 years ago. Um, I joined the Unity Center for Peace here in Chapel Hill, and that got me started on a ministerial path that had been on my back burner for a long time as just kind of a wild idea. And then the co-minister here, Rosemary Hyde, when I had lunch with her and she goes, "Have you ever thought of being a minister?" I was like, and I just laughed because I was like, "Well, yeah, sort of, but I never took myself seriously about it. Not that I want to take myself seriously, but I just thought it was a wild, like a crazy idea." And then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? I really do want to pursue that. So there's actually 5 or 6 of us in a group. We're called the Future Ministers Team. It includes people in Chapel Hill and also in the Durham and Raleigh area, and includes at least one person from Paris, France. That
Wow.
yeah, and we're most people are going on taking classes from Unity to be a licensed Unity teacher or to be a minister, which is like a 3-year program. And I've started, doing that and taking classes, and we help each other out and talk about them and take classes together. And just recently, I think that I'm going to go to One Spirit Seminary in New York, which also has online classes too using Zoom. So I'm putting in my application, and that's a 2-year program. So that's another piece of my spiritual path, and it ties back to, at least Unity does. I didn't know that Unity was like a place you could go with other people and have a service on Sunday. I thought it was just the books because I grew up with the Daily Word and We
Mhm.
Wisdom and all these positive thinking books and science of mind books. And I just thought affirmations and thinking, manifesting what you want and controlling your thoughts and noticing when they're negative. I just thought that was what everybody did. Like that's what we did over our meals as a family, right?
Right.
That's what we talked about. And then it took coming here to realize, oh, Unity's actually a place. So, it's they don't call themselves a religion, but it is a belief system. So
Mhm.
it's been fun, kind of a return to my roots and being on that spiritual path. I've become a prayer chaplain and I'm on the prayer team. So we do what we call 3-minute miracles after service on Sundays, and we started calling people once a month to members of UCP. So that's been really fun. That's been really fun, and the idea of health and wholeness as our way of being naturally, unless we're um, thinking different thoughts like reading the news and getting worried. And I'm not saying isn't such a thing as germs, but it's all us. It's like everything around us is us. And we
Yeah.
are divine spirit expressing in this world in all forms. And everything we see, as you know from esoteric healing too, it's not just our physical body, it's
Mhm.
our mental, emotional, spiritual body, and that spiritual body encompasses everything. So we are actually one with everything from that
Right.
perspective. Yeah, so it's been really a wonderful part of my journey to go deeper into that with other people and kind of learn a new language around it, which I'm still working on.
Mhm. Wow, amazing. You have so many tools in your toolbox.
Don't we all? Don't we all? Well, thank you. Thanks. My latest thing that I'll be starting, I've already got plans. I just haven't launched it yet. I'm working with a group that is an organization now called Living Peace Now. It's just getting started, bootstrapping from the beginning, a nonprofit. And there's several of us that are going to have channels on Living Peace Now. And my channel is called um, Spirituality with Nature. Because I took around the holidays, I took almost a whole month. I took 23 days off
Wow.
from work, and it was before the pandemic, right? 23 days off just to I never did that in my life, just to kind of reset. And I read this great book. I've read a bunch of books. One of them was called Rewilding. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, nature is like so scarce in people's lives now that it's a thing, right? Like forest bathing, you've probably heard about." So there's all
Amazing.
kinds of science and writing about how important it is to go outside for our physical and our emotional and mental health and why that is. Like, why does it feel so good to be outside on a picnic or going for a walk or sitting up against a tree, which are things that I like to do all the time. I just
Mhm.
thought everybody did it. But no, it's so scarce that now people are studying why that is true. Anyway,
It's just funny how something that you would think is so natural to do, like to just be
mhm.
around nature, and
It's
animals
just
too
not
for
the case, and yeah, and animals, it's just not the case anymore. It's just not the case. There's so many people living in urban environments,
yeah.
right? Surrounded by cement and us all being so busy, not being able to, or not even thinking about. It's not so much not being able to, not even being conscious of the fact that we're not walking on the ground. We're not, paying attention to the sky. There's a really cool website. Maybe you've seen it. I think it's called the Cloud Society, and these are people that pay attention to the sky and take pictures, and they paint it, and it's a site where people post pictures of clouds and sky, not blue sky but cloudy sky. It's beautiful. So
Wow.
anyway, taking the time to do that, to me it's a spiritual experience too. So I'm looking forward to opening up those possibilities for people online, and also once the pandemic's over, face to face.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I actually just pulled the website up, and I have to say the pictures are they're I'm like never seen a cloud like this in my life. I just pulled their website up.
Oh, the Cloud Society?
Yes,
Mhm.
I'm like, wow, we need to look up more. Like, look up.
Yeah, that's what they say. I think that's their slogan, isn't it?
Well, it should be if it's not. But I actually, this reminds me, in a lot of the readings I've been doing, people are actually one that comes to mind. She lives in New York City, and she was like, "Should I move to Hawaii?" And I was like, um, "There's your guides are saying that you need to live somewhere where you can put your bare feet on the earth, and if you can't do that where you're living right now, then yes, you need to move." And then I did another reading, and someone was asking me about the sky, like, "Can you tell me a little bit more, like, why when I look up at the sky, why do I feel so good when I'm just gazing at the clouds?" And it's funny because the questions that are coming up are a lot about nature and why do I feel good here? Why don't I feel good in this spot, etc. And it's like because you are remembering to connect back to nature, which is so natural for us to do, and yet we've forgotten.
Yes, we've forgotten. It's as simple as that. We've forgotten.
Yeah.
But also, from esoteric healing, when you're looking up, you're actually activating things
Right.
in your nervous system, right, that calm you down and open up your intuition. And meditating, looking up towards your third eye is one of the things that we do sometimes in esoteric healing. So there's a physical thing going on too, but I think it's mostly the we're depriving ourselves of it for no good reason. I mean, there's parks all over the place. I'm so glad to see so many people using the local parks here in North Carolina. I mean, so much so that the state parks had to close because they were getting too crowded. You heard the stories of some of the national parks that closed because there were just so many people out there. So I'm really glad that in this time of not being able to do other things for entertainment, that people are going outside and enjoying the parks. That is so important.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, like, it goes back to, like, the distractions, right? Like, those people who are out in the parks might have gone out to dinner or to see a movie or to go play video games. Like, I'm just seeing, like, arcades and stuff, and it's like, when we take all of those distractions away, what's left? Nature.
Exactly. Exactly. In all weather, rain or shine. And it just feels good. And there's science behind it, right? There's a great book. So, Rewilding is is a good one. Another one is Biophilia, which talks about the science behind the what's going on in the woods and with your body. The synchronization of your heartbeat and things in nature. There's so much to it. It's not complicated. Our bodies automatically do it. This is how we've evolved.
Mhm.
We've just separated ourselves from our natural environment. And it is with that unity oneness thinking, it is us, right? So no wonder we feel good connected to it.
Right, and I think that ties right back into your, you know, roots and being a shaman, like, we're just getting back to nature and reconnecting with nature and how can we heal through nature, and, I actually wanted to ask you, can you talk speaking of nature and connecting, I feel like I get people my age, right? Like, I'm in my mid-20s, and a lot of people, the one thing they know from shamanism or just like everyone has an animal totem now, right? Like even if you're not
Hmm.
spiritual or no matter what religion you follow, everyone I know is like, "Oh, like what's your animal totem?" And yeah, that might be like all that they know about it. Can you talk a little bit more about like the significance of an animal totem and why it's important? Because I feel like a lot of us are drawn to animals and we don't know why, like a certain animal.
Oh, like when you see one all the time, or you've been collecting pictures, or
Right.
um, yeah, you feel an affinity towards it. Usually, that's a sign that it's an opportunity to have a relationship with that animal, right? They're reaching out to you in different forms, and because you're noticing them, right? So they're in your consciousness or your subconscious. And to me, that's an invitation, a signal that, they're not for collecting, they're for talking to and getting information and finding out how you can help them. And um, they're there to serve, help us gain wisdom, right? To be of service and to share information about what's going on. And if you can have conversations, right? It's about having a conversation with a spiritual guide in the form of an animal totem. There's other forms too, like insects, trees, and more human shaped entities. There's no like formula really, but there's all kinds of cool, like that book. What's it called? I don't have it right in front of me. There's books where you can look up the meaning of different animal totems, but it's really about opening yourself up to have a relationship that supports you in everything you do. So as long as you're aware and you bring that the strengths and the characteristics of spiritual characteristics of that, let's say it's an animal totem, into your consciousness, it becomes your partner,
Hmm.
right? It becomes someone, a relationship, a some person, like a person that you can ask questions and really rely on to guide you. And in shamanism, you learn to get your mind and your being into non-ordinary reality on purpose, not by accident. Right? So there's ordinary reality or ordinary consciousness, and then we can shift our mind with a little bit of training, usually using a drum or a rattle, some sort of rhythm, into non-ordinary reality. And we can have conversations with all kinds of things, but usually people create a very deep and trusting relationship with one or more spirit guides or animal totems, and they become the go-to person, like the go-to being. Let's not say person, let's say being, the go-to being that they turn to in non-ordinary reality for advice and to be shown things. And the more that you spend time with this being, and the more you share, and the more you honor, and because you can, bear is one of mine, right? I have that bear drum,
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
and that was one of the first. Actually, spider was the first one, but the bear is one that's been around for a very long time, even since I was a little girl. But I didn't think of it as a totem animal until I started on purpose journeying to bear and in non-ordinary reality, and learning from bear and listening and kind of merging with bear to become the characteristics of the bear, and to learn from that, right? The big heart of the bear, and the protectiveness of the bear, and the strength of the bear. And those are all qualities that I can call on in my life in ordinary reality, when I need them. And I can go into on non-ordinary reality and tune into bear and ask for, what does it suggest? What is it seeing? Show me something I'm not seeing
Mhm.
here. Take me somewhere, like take me to my inner garden, or introduce me to another spirit. And even though I have several different kinds of spirit guides, bear is always there as my go-to, uh, my friend, right? The one I trust the most, the one I see the most, the one I interact with in ordinary reality as well. Just like probably rabbit and
Yeah,
owl are yours.
yeah. Do
Hmm.
you think that, you have the same totems, like, for life? Do you think they can change depending on, like, where you are at in this life?
Well, there's different beliefs about that. My experience and my belief is that you have, just like friends in ordinary reality, come and go,
Mhm.
and some friends are special purpose, like some friends are work friends, some friends are your gym friends, right? Some friends are your esoteric healing friends,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
Different people are in your life forever. And some people are, whether they're friends or family, some people are in your life for just a period of time. Some people are in your life as in a special role that you can call on in that special role. It's the same thing on the spiritual side of things, in the non-ordinary reality. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect way to put it because there's so many layers to, well, shamanism first off, but then there's so many layers to the one aspect of it, which is the animal totems. And I wanted to touch on it because I just feel like people don't give it the depth that it deserves having an animal totem. It's one thing to say, "Oh, this is my animal." It's another to honor that and know why this is your animal and what it's here to teach you or what it's here to guide you to do.
Yeah, exactly. And to honor it and listen, it's a relationship. It's not about them always giving you things. It's about you giving to them your love, your attention, going to non-ordinary reality to play, right?
Yeah.
And just be there. It's a relationship, right? So you need to feed the relationship, to honor them through ceremony. Let's say it's a fire ceremony, or maybe it's just as simple as placing a stone in their honor, or making a blessing with something special like flowers or tobacco or cornmeal or something. So there's a lot of ways you can, in big and small ways, honor these partners that we have in non ordinary reality.
Yeah, and speaking of ceremonial, like ritualistic stuff, we had, I think it was in 2018, you were at the mountaintop and we did,
Hmm.
was it a day? Was it 2 days? It feels so long, but it was probably just a day.
I think it was a day. Might have been a day and a half. I don't remember. It might have been a day and a half. Hmm. Oh, it was powerful, wasn't it? We did. Oh my gosh, I shared with you how to, and others, how to build a mesa that I learned from Don Oscar Miro Casada from the Pachacudi Mesa tradition of universal shamanism. How to do a mesa. It was like an introduction to that, the council method of sharing in circle. We did a despacho and we did a fire ceremony. It was beautiful. Oh,
Ye
I remember that weekend. It was beautiful. And that place, on the mountaintop with all those beautiful, the woodland spirits and the
Mhm.
spirit of the mountain itself, and all the work that Coral did when she lived there to, open things up. And I don't know, it was just such an alive place. It was a beautiful place for that work.
Yeah, I will forever miss it. I actually have the red scarf. It's on my
Oh,
it's
I'm so
always
glad you still have that. That's beautiful. I got that from a Peruvian shaman when I was in Yachats, Oregon.
Oh, yeah, I this is a lifelong gift, like, I'm never get rid never getting rid of it. It's on my altar, and I have it right now for this conversation, but
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. That honors me. Thank you, Brittany.
oh, of course, I absolutely love it, and I love our conversations and all of our time together. I wanted to ask you, if people wanted to get in touch with you or if you have anything coming up as far as healing circles or online stuff, I know it's really hard right now to do in-person workshops, like anything that you're doing that people can join in on?
Yeah, I guess two things. My website is Joyfaring Studio. So like wayfaring, but it's joyfaring. So JOYFARING, joyfaringstudio.com. And I probably need to bring it up to date to list some of my new things, but that's where you can make appointments with me for distance healing sessions. I love doing those. And I can have do it a session or at a time, or you can do a package. So that's one way to follow up. Another one would be to keep your eye on in the next couple weeks. So this is the end of March now. So by the middle of April, Living Peace Now, all one word, .org, because it's a nonprofit, should be up and running with 4 or 5, 6 different channels of meditation and metaphysical work. And there's some Reiki classes coming up, some shamanism things coming up. And on my channel on that is all going to be about spirituality and nature. So I'll be outside inviting people to do things like find a sit spot and contemplate and meditate there and then share back with the group, or doing outside activities together. I would love it if people brought Zoom on their phones outside, right? Sat
Oh,
next to their favorite tree. Imagine a whole group of us on Zoom sitting next to a tree, or it doesn't, even in an urban setting, it doesn't have to be in the woods, right? And just sharing what our experience is, just being one with the tree. I mean, that's just an example. But those are the kinds of things I want to do on that channel. So by the middle of April, we'll have that up and running.
wow, that's all so amazing. It's so I don't know, I just get it really lights me up to hear about what people are offering the world, especially when it's like it's new and people are awakening to like different healing modalities that they've never experienced before. Like just getting people to even have what you call a sit spot to just sit there and just enjoy
Hmm.
nature and just to be with themselves. Like, yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's something I could leave people with, is just a suggestion. If you wanted to, I would invite you to go outside somewhere, anywhere, and a place that you could return to over and over, and go there. It'd be great if you could do it daily if it's right outside your door. It could be on your porch or your patio or your balcony, right? Somewhere where there's a living something there, a potted plant, tomatoes, whatever you got, a lawn. and just, mark out a place that's maybe 12 by 12 and just sit there and pay attention to that 12 by 12 spot for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then go away and then come back another day and do the same exact thing and get to know that spot. And it's amazing how contemplative that is and how calming and how you'll notice things that you wouldn't have noticed otherwise. The worm or what's blowing in, the breeze, how the sun hits it. There are so many dimensions to just a little 12 by 12 area. That would be something I'd invite people to give a try to and see how it feels.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do I just
Great. Let me know how it feels, Brittany. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I actually yesterday or the day before just set up a hammock. And it's so funny because I haven't had an outside spot since I've lived where I am for the past, like, 5 months. So, yeah, what a great time to have a sit spot. I love it. Yeah. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. Thank you so much for the opportunity to do this with you, Brittany, and good luck on this. And I look forward to tuning in and hearing what other people have to say on your new channel.
A very special thank you to Geith for being on the show today. You can find her for healings and sessions at joyfaringstudio.com. In the middle of April, keep an eye on livingpeacenow.org for meditation, Reiki, shamanism, and much more. Also, find your sit spot. Go outside. Have a place prepared for you to go and sit, be in nature, look up. What are the clouds showing you today? Please comment. I want to hear about your sit spots. Thank you. Have a wonderful week.